Hey everybody, it is Dr. V. I'm back and I'm going to do your weekly Do I Ever Cross Your Mind reading messages from the runner twin in these divine love connections. I'm using the Modern Spellcasters, I think it's the Modern Spellcaster, but Modern Spellcaster Tarot and the Numinous Tarot. These are the two decks that I've been using lately that are more inclusive, so they show figures other than cis, hetero, Eurocentric figures. So, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who's liked, commented, subscribed, shared, etc. I appreciate that so much. Thank you to all of you who have given energy exchange donations. I also very much appreciate that. Thank you for all your love and prayers for my little guy. The doctors have officially ruled out worst case scenario, so that's a relief. And I'm getting caught up on readings from those 2 days that I was unavailable. So anyway, if you'd love to purchase a personal reading, you can do that by clicking the link below in the description box. And if there's any questions, if you just want to connect, if you need a quick reading, I am on Instant Go, so you can reach out to me there. That link is also below. And what else is there? I think that's it. So thank you again for being here, for all your love and support. You guys are the absolute best, and I just love being able to support this community. So Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for the messages that need to come through today from the messages from the runner. I call upon my counsel, the angels, archangels, higher wisdom, divine love, and my ancestors to be with me. I draw a sacred circle around this space and all those who are watching. Awesome. I'm excited for this reading. So I'm going to do this in a slight, I don't think it's slightly different, but it's a little bit different. So we're just going to roll with it, okay? So for the first question for this reading is, do they miss me? And the first card for that is the Four of Tomes in reverse and the Seven of Cups in reverse. So the Four of Tomes is, it's books. You can see they're like precious books, and they're in a lock in a cabinet, and they're just, back there chilling, looking pretty. And the next one is the Seven of Cups in reverse. So interesting energies that are already coming through for this question, do they miss me? The Four of Tomes in reverse is all about essentially having to, it's like the person has moved. If it was upright, it would be in the hoarding energy. It would be like, this is, these are too precious. I can't let them out. I have to keep them protected. This is the energy that I was talking about when my grandmother passed, and she had all these, all of her good clothes and her good linens and all of that stuff that was still a lot of it was still in packages. And I was like, God, this seems like such a waste. So it's not that energy. This is literally saying somebody is suffering. So the question is, do they miss me? And so this is about somebody who feels like maybe they've been robbed. It feels like they have been in a space where they have had to take these books out. These are precious books. Maybe they don't have enough money. They feel like scarcity. They feel lack. And so they've taken the books out and they've sold them. Perhaps somebody broke into their house and took them. There's some kind of energy around them where they are, where it feels like a lack. There's a scarcity. And because it's in this position of, do they miss me? It's like, yeah, I get that. It's saying sure, this is definitely someone who's feeling like they're lacking. They're feeling like they don't have enough. They don't have, there's just not enough. So they're definitely feeling the lack of your presence in their life. I'm drinking coffee right now because it's still morning here. Let me show you my coffee cup. It says, integrity is my love language. It's by woman named Stacy Jordan Shelton. If you're interested in buying one, let me know and I'll post the link. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, back to the reading. And then the next card is the Seven of Cups in reverse. This is a shattered illusion. It's someone who's taken a more realistic perspective. It's like someone got what they wanted, but their wish is not what they wanted. After all, it's like you got what you asked for, but turns out that's not really what you wanted. It's someone who's like who's definitely feeling like their dreams have been abandoned. It's someone who is trying to get a little bit more conscious and deep in their reflections. So what I'm getting from this with these two cards right here is that they feel your absence, like they feel the weight of your absence, and they feel like maybe they made a decision to like move toward a karmic partner. Maybe they moved away from this connection because they were like, well, I want, to move toward this job, or I'm going to move, over here because I have this opportunity. And so it took them away from you. And now they're like, well, I got what I wanted. I got the job, or I'm in this karmic situation or whatever, but it turns out that it's not what I wanted. And so they're feeling this sense of discontent. So in answer to the question, do they miss you? Sure, still it seems that way. Is there something they want you to know? The Nine of Candles and Temperance. Interesting. This reading is very interesting. I tried to do this reading yesterday and it just didn't, like the energies weren't working, my video wasn't working, and so I walked away from it. I was like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. So this Nine of Candles, it says, this is the question of, is there something they want you to know? Okay, this is like, they want you to know that they're ready to face the difficulties that life may throw their way. It's like they are looking back at their experience. They're having memories of what they've gone through, what they've learned. This is like them recognizing, like, I've worked really hard to get to where I am, and I'm not just going to give up. I'm not just going to like surrender without a fight. This is someone who's saying, look, they want you to know, I'm ready. I'm ready to face the challenges. I'm ready to do what needs to be done. Like, I recognize that I may have made some mistakes. I may have made some bad decisions in the past, but I've learned from it, and I'm ready to take this next step forward. So they want you to know also with this Temperance card that they recognize that this is a situation. Temperance is a card of moderation, okay? It's like not being overly exuberant, not being, totally withdrawn. It's literally like spiritual restraint, okay? It's saying like this is a person, they want you to know that they recognize that love, life, connections like these are fragile. They need to be handled tenderly and carefully. They're in this phase of spiritual transformation. Okay, and they are looking at how they can move forward because they are ready for whatever challenges are coming. They're getting ready. They're more and more ready for it. But they also want to make sure that they approach it gently and tenderly. They don't want to go balls to the wall and end up causing more pain because they don't proceed with caution. So I don't get the sense that they're cautious of you. It's more of the energy I'm getting is more that they feel cautious of wanting to make sure that they are actually truly ready. Like, they may have come to you before and come like, out the gate really fast, a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and then weren't ready. And then it caused disruption, it caused pain. And now they're saying, look, I want to make sure that when I come back and when I come towards you, that I'm ready to handle it with the care that it deserves. So what's holding them back? The Star and Judgment in reverse. Interesting, very interesting reading here so far. A lot of major arcana showing up. So far we have 3 of the 6 cards that are on the table right now are major arcana. So it's a big energy, okay? So the Star is like, after, this is again in the position, like what's holding them back. It's saying after their disaster, there's hope, okay? It's like coming back to life. It's like coming out of the cave. It's like recognizing that they feel like may have done some things to cause you pain. They may feel like they have done some things that were really hurtful to you, and they are saying like, you know, I got thrown off course. I got thrown off course. I did something that I might not should have done. I did some things that I'm regretting. And now I'm trying to find the hope again. I'm trying to find the belief. What I'm really getting is they're trying to find the belief in themselves to be able to move forward and trust themselves again. It feels like they feel like there's a sense of like, I made a mistake. I made some bad decisions. Perhaps I followed this. I went after what I wanted, and turns out that it isn't really what I wanted. Now I'm, you know, and I hurt you in the process, and I did all these other things, and now I'm having to kind of figure out if I can trust myself again, if I have the confidence. They're definitely looking for inner guidance and trying to find that hope again. And then with this Judgment in reverse, it's saying that they're still feeling this energy of harsh judgment. So that judgment may have come from you. It may have been something that you said or did to the runner twin that caused them to, not cause them, because I don't want to say that, contributed to them making the decision to run. It could have been that they felt that you were being critical and judgmental. But what it's literally about is that they're still trapped in darkness to a certain extent. They still haven't moved out of this completely out of this dark energy. So they're moving toward the star, but they're still feeling a little bit trapped. They need to have, feel more of this hope energy, feel more of that spiritual guidance to get them out of this energy. So that's what's keeping them stuck. That's what's holding them back. They are definitely feeling some failure energy. They feel like they failed. There is some failure energy, and that's part of what's keeping them trapped. Like I'm seeing them like almost energetically like in a, you know, like a bear trap. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but like their foot stuck in a bear trap. It's the bear traps are kind of like this, and then when someone steps in them, they just close, right? That's what happens. And it feels like that, like they're kind of stuck in this energetic bear trap where it's only one small part of them that's stuck, but it's immobilizing their whole being right now, and that's what's holding them back. So let me move these to the side. And do they want to reunite? Are they thinking about reuniting? Six of Vials in reverse. And the King of Swords. Interesting. I keep saying that, right? Every time I pull a card, I'm like, interesting. But it is interesting because it's so much, just the energy is so intense with this reading right now. The Six of Vials in reverse is saying, they're not looking at the past very pleasantly right now, okay? They are dwelling on the pain. They are looking, it's sort of like when you come into their mind, they're thinking about like, you know, what you did that they felt like was hurtful. So they're not looking back. They're not looking back and seeing you in this like positive light. They're looking back and seeing things in sort of a negative light, okay? It's like they really, this card can suggest union. I mean, literally, this card literally in the book talks about reunions, but it's saying like right now, because of the energy that the runner twin is in, that if you were to come back into union, it probably wouldn't be very pleasant. Like the messages, they're not looking very favorably. They're looking at this connection through the negative light. They have not, because of this judgment in reverse, they have not moved through that energy. So they're still feeling, for some of them, this is not for everyone, again, take the messages as they resonate. For some of them, they're feeling like you were harsh, that you were critical, you judged them. And so they're looking at that very negatively. They're looking at that like, as you were being, you know, kind of mean to them. Now, it could be that you were just reflecting back the truth. It could be that, you know, they were doing things that was out of alignment, that was not in the highest good, that was causing problems, and you held them accountable, and they're internalizing that as judgment, and they're feeling kind of, you know, criticized by it. So this card does say that they think about reunion, but they're not thinking about it in a sense of positive, okay? They're, at this point, they're still seeing it as, if we come back together, it's not going to be, it's not something that I really want, because it could be negative. They're not ready to apologize, so they're avoiding it. It's like they want to, there's a part of them that is like still drawn to you, still feels that pull towards you, but they're not ready to apologize. They're just not there yet. They're not ready to take accountability for what they did and what the energy that they brought in. And because of that, it's keeping them stuck. It's keeping them in that energy of not wanting to come towards you. So they do think about it. They definitely are thinking about what it would be like. But right now they're thinking like, but if I did, it would just be, you know, I would tell them all about themselves kind of energy. And so this other card is the King of Swords. This is someone who is, who tends toward, you know, this is someone who's like an authority figure, okay? Very powerful, can be selfish at times, can be self-serving, can also be somewhat domineering. This is a person who in their, like, if they're balanced and if they're in their, you know, divine energy of the King of Swords, they can be very, very powerful leader, very confident, all of, you know, those kinds of things, a trustworthy king, so to speak. But if they're out of balance and if they're not in alignment, they can tend toward being violent, being abusive, being angry, proving, like trying to prove themselves, like a showing of authority, kind of, you know, for lack of a better term, sort of like a pissing contest. And so it's like with these two cards together, it just says to me that like there is definitely, if they think about coming back together, they're thinking about it and coming back in a cruel or negative light, because they're still in this space where they feel somehow victimized maybe by what happened in the situation, and they're wanting to, whatever they're thinking is just not loving energy at this point about reuniting. So what are their fears? The Seven of Tomes in the upright and the Sun. That is very interesting. Like, why would somebody be fearful of the Sun, right? The Seven of Tomes is about reaping what you sow, okay? This is saying that, like, someone feels like this is a fear, okay? So this is literally like they're feeling that they have neglected or what they've planted has not been good, okay? So it's a sense of they're recognizing that they haven't, you know, they're fearful of what harvest they're going to reap, because they're recognizing that the seeds that they have been sowing have not necessarily been the greatest seeds. If they're thinking these not so positive kind of negative thoughts towards you, they're recognizing that that's not such a great energy that they're planting, and so they need to revise that a little bit. So there's some fear around reaping what they've sown. There's this definitely this understanding of what we do comes back to us, okay? So even if they're not a spiritual person, it's like there's this spiritual sense of understanding that if they don't, that they will get what they put back. They understand that in a spiritual law. So it's like if they're recognizing, if in this connection with you, if there was dishonesty, if there was deception, if there was cheating, any of that kind of stuff, they're recognizing that they're afraid, because they know that they will reap what they've sown, and they're afraid of what they're going to harvest when it's time to harvest, which is why the Sun card is is showing up. The Sun helps seeds to grow, right? The Sun, if you plant the seeds, you water them, then the Sun is what contributes to help the harvest to come to fruition. So there's definitely some fear around that. And there's also about this, you can't hide shit in the light of day, okay? If you're like walking around at night at, you know, if it's like 9 o'clock at night and you're out, and it's, especially if you're in a place where there's, like in the country, where there's no street lights, it's very, very dark, okay? My brother lived out, and his house was out in the country in southern Colorado, and at night, if you went outside, and I would like to go out and look at the stars, it would be completely silent, and it would look like the stars were like you could reach up and pluck them out of the sky because it was so dark. But it was pitch black, like you couldn't see anything. So what this is saying to me is that they're afraid of the light. They're afraid of the light coming in and shining on some things that they'd like to keep hidden. So that's a fear for them. It's that when the light comes, it's going to expose some things, that some seeds that have been sown, some actions that have been taken that they recognize have not been in the highest of integrity, and they're recognizing that you know, you got to pay the piper at some point. So what are their regrets? The Five of Tomes and the oops. Well, I'm going to leave that there because I pulled it, so I'm sure it has a message for us, and I'll just pull another one. The Nine of Swords. So the Five of Tomes in reverse, and their regret, it's saying it's saying that they are not, okay. This is a time of a community. This card is talking about community. It's about sometimes recognizing that we need help and not asking for help when it's needed. It's saying, or not accepting the help. So what they regret is that there was an offer of help, okay? It's like if they were doing things and making decisions or behaving in ways that were out of alignment, someone was trying to help them. Someone was saying, like, you don't have to do that, but they didn't accept the help. They didn't receive it. They didn't take it, and they've continued to be in pain and suffering for it. They feel guilty for asking for help. For they don't feel like they're the kind of person that if you offer to help them, they're like, oh no, it's fine, I can take care of it. They just won't receive it because they feel like doing so is a burden to others, and and they regret that. They regret that there was an opportunity for them to take some different action to receive some help, and they chose not to because they felt guilty. They felt like it was a burden to others. And there's some regret also with the Mystic of Candles. The Mystic of Candles in reverse is someone who has really journeyed, has gone the distance, has done some things, but they're not yet ready to admit that they made mistakes. They have not learned yet. That's why this Judgment in reverse card is still there. That's why this is like, I'm ready, you know, to move forward, and why this Temperance card is showing up, because it's not quite ready. It's like they want to be ready and move forward, but Temperance is like, slow down, buddy, you're not quite, the work isn't, you know, the path isn't quite ready yet. This is a person who is like not really wanting to acknowledge that they made mistakes, that they made bad choices, and so they're hindering their own growth. They're limiting their own ability to grow, and their own, and it's also hindering their self-worth, right? It's not helping. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody's self-image to be in a space of being like, yeah, I may look successful on the surface, but underneath I feel like a fraud. It doesn't help anybody to be in that space, but that's exactly where this person is. It's like that's when their regret is that they're like, they understand to an extent that they've done some things, but they're not learning from their mistakes. And this is also a person who is very, very much tied into needing external validation. They're looking for other people outside of themselves to make them feel worthy, and that's something that they regret, because they recognize on the soul level, right? This is like some of this energy. It's like on the 5D, they may have learned their lesson. Okay, it just hasn't trickled down to the physical 3D world yet, and so in this, their human expression, okay, is definitely still needing that external validation. They want someone to make them feel worthy. They tie their value as a human very much to their accomplishments. And what happens with that is that they probably have this illusion. Okay, they have this illusion that everything is fine, that things are going great in their life. They're probably putting out a message to the world that they've got their shit together, that everything is great. But underneath it all, this is a person who maybe you get to know them a little bit and you're like, wow, it's all smoke and mirrors. There's no real substance here. You're just kind of like about as deep as a kitchen sink. And when people recognize that, when people get to know that about them, then they feel, again, it kind of goes back to that cycle of rejection and being unworthy and so on and so forth. And so it's just this really negative, self-destructive cycle that they're in, and they regret it because they know it. They know that they haven't taken the time to integrate the lessons. They know that they're not being honest with themselves. They know that they're not, and that because they're not doing that, they're keeping themselves stuck, and they're keeping themselves from having the growth that they are meant to have right now. Now, this Nine of Swords is grief. They're feeling a lot of grief, a lot of sorrow. This is the regret. They know that they caused grief. They know that they caused sorrow. They know that they caused some conflict. This is a person who is definitely they're haunted by the past, okay? They're haunted by the past mostly because they haven't done what they need to do. They haven't learned the lessons that they need to learn. They're still feeling this energy of not taking really not taking responsibility, and kind of being in that space of wanting to hold other people accountable for behaviors. That energy that showed up with that card. And so they're feeling a lot of grief and sorrow because they understand, at least spiritually, they're understanding that they have really contributed to their own pain in this, and that they cause pain for other people, and yet they're still in the space of not being able to look back at the past honestly, take an honest assessment of their contribution, what they've done, and so they're stuck in this cycle of suffering. Okay, they are stuck in this, literally in this cycle of suffering. It's like they're feeling anxious, depressed, exhausted. They may not be sleeping well, and they're not doing the healing work that they need to do. So it's like they're being haunted by these old emotional wounds that are still coming up, and it's like, stop. It's kind of like they regret that, and so it's like, it's fine. What would help them is to move through this energy and just like, this sounds super cliche, but it's true. You have to feel it to heal it. And they're in that space of really regretting that that's not where they are. That's not what they've been doing. They haven't allowed themselves to feel this energy. And because they haven't allowed themselves to feel it, it's still there. So I'm going to move this aside. And I want to just pull some cards for what's ahead. So the runner twin is not having a great time right now. So what's ahead? Page of Swords. Ugh. Oh, runner twin. It's just sad, really. This energy is just kind of sad for them. This 10 of Candles, if you look at it, it's just burdened. It's like this person can't even walk because they're under the weight of so much. There's so much weight on their back that they just can't even move. They're literally stuck. It's like just feeling like they are, weighted down with responsibilities. Okay, they are overloaded with responsibilities and with burdens. Okay, they're not necessarily they're not in balance. Okay, it's like they literally, if you look at this, I mean, it's like they're on their knees. They can't walk. They literally can't even stand because of the weight on their back. This is someone who is has a lot of responsibilities and is, again, not asking for help. Okay, it's like they're doing this because they want to feel like more powerful. They want to feel like they have more responsibility. They want to feel like they have that kind of, like they want it to look a certain way, like they've got their shit together, but underneath it, they're really weighted down and can't even stand under the weight of it, which is concerning, obviously, because that kind of energy continuing can lead to serious consequences. And then this Page of Swords energy, it's like, again, someone who has the willingness to go forward. This is somebody who's like, if you look at this, the Page is a young person. It's like someone like picks up this sword that's as big as they are and is like swinging it around carelessly. It's like someone who's inexperienced, someone who is immature, someone who may be dishonest, reckless, just doing things without thinking about it through, being selfish, being self-centered, self-serving, thinking about, not thoroughly thinking things through. Okay, so it's like I just see, like in the movies where you see like a little kid pick up a sword and start swinging it around, and it's too big and they don't know how to handle it. That's what I see with these two cards. It's like this weighted down with this burden, and then just this, again, immature in energy that's not that they want to take on more than they can handle. They're not ready for it, and they're trying to prove themselves. They're still in that energy of trying to prove themselves. So what can the Chaser twin do to support the energy? 8 of Candles, or to support right now? And the High Priestess in reverse. Interesting. The 8 of Candles is definitely about being on a clear path. Okay, this is someone who is just like, all right, I'm on the path. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm headed. And so this is saying, look, stay in your fire, stay in your passion, continue on your path, continue directing your resources to one aim. Okay, don't feel like you need to stop living or doing what you're doing just because of what's going on with them. In fact, what I'm getting from this is that you're in this energy of you really have your shit together. Okay, the Chaser twin who's watching this really is on a good path, is really doing what needs to be done, handling their business, and it's actually doing that, continuing in that space of taking care of business, staying on course, doing what you're supposed to be doing, following your North Star, is going to inspire, or it may spark some jealousy first in the runner twin. They may look at you and be like, why are they doing so well? Why are they so successful? That's fine. That's whatever it is. But it's what it also can do is spark them. That jealousy can spark them to be like, well, I also want to step into my power and maturity. So don't get off course, is basically what Spirit is saying, is that's how you support them, is by staying true to your own path. To thine own self be true. And then the High Priestess in reverse. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. This is someone who can be envied. Someone who may be disliked, okay? It's saying how you can support them is even... Let me sit and feel into this energy, because there's a few messages that are coming through right now. The first thing is that don't ignore your intuition. Make sure that you're staying in touch with your intuition, that you're following your guidance that you're getting. The High Priestess in reverse can mean somebody who is not following their intuition, who's not being true to their spiritual nature. So this is to be cautious. Be very cautious about what you're putting out in the world. Okay. This is also about allowing allowing things to come to light, that this is what is saying. So it's like, don't hide yourself. You may have been in a space where you've been, you know, kind of hiding yourself, that you've been feeling like, I don't necessarily, like I'm doing great, but I don't necessarily want to brag about it. I don't want to put all my stuff out there. I don't want to be like, maybe the sense you like, because you recognize that your counterpart is suffering and is in a lot of pain, that you don't want to make it look like, oh, but look at me, I'm just doing great, and, you know, bully for you. But this is saying, like, don't hide it, okay? Don't hide your light under a bushel. Let it shine. What actually needs to happen is that light. The light, remember the sun card that came out earlier? That needs to be exposed. Your light is going to shine on things, and that needs to happen. So don't hide. Don't feel like you need to conceal things, okay? Let yourself shine. Be in that energy. Be in that energy. It's a really interesting reading. Okay, this is a really interesting reading. I'm getting that the runner twin is just not there. They're just not there yet, and that's okay. They'll get there, or they won't, you know. There is free will, and that's not neither here nor there. We just got to keep continuing on our paths and doing what we need to do, following our own spiritual guidance, and being true to ourselves and our own mission. So I hope that this reading was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.